Thank you so very much once more. And I will share my screen shortly. However, I don't really have so much to say. Again, you have done the introduction already. So just a little bit more. Okay, you are seeing my screen, I believe. So without wasting your time, we are going to bring in Engr Titus Olowookere. I believe some of you already know that this is not the first time we are bringing here to be a speaker. We have some repeat speakers because of what they really have to deliver, what they have to offer. So we are so grateful to have you, Engr Titus Olowookere, who is the president and CEO of the U.S. African Trade Council. And if you want to know more about him, please, we encourage you to go to femiboyedeconsulting.com, where you are going to see all our present and past speakers. You have the floor, sir. Thank you for being with us today.
Well, thank you very much, Lady K, and thank you to Femi Consulting for inviting me to make this presentation. And thanks again for the time that we're all together. It's not going to be a lecture. It's going to be more of a deliberation, a brainstorming, a discussion session. These are things a lot of us are already familiar with, which we are just putting out there in a different light. So allow me to share my screen quickly, and if you can see my screen now.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So thanks again for having me here today. The topic we're discussing today is the floating Naira and the economic policies, renewed hope for Nigeria's non-exports. As we are going to look at different aspects, the floating Naira is what it is, how it has come to be, the new economic policies, but they take a little dive into agric in particular and see the potentials of the floating Naira on the agriculture sector. And then we will do a call to action and discuss at length what we can benefit from this. Nigeria, we already know, we came from originally we were agricultural economy. In the last 30, 40 years, it's been mostly a oil economy. We had a lot of oil, we export a lot of oil, we make so much money from oil exports, and for some reason, the non-oil sector was ignored and it deteriorated. And that's the one challenge we had over the years. But with the advent of new challenges, with the volatility of the oil prices, with the advent of electric vehicles, with the advent of self-propelling vehicles, the need for oil has dropped or is dropping globally. And that also affects Nigeria definitely. Nigeria has been heavily focused on exporting oil. As you could see from this slide, in 2021, over 88% of the foreign trade was from oil. And at some point, it came to about 95% of foreign trade from oil, which shows, of course, over 100%. The gap in foreign trade has been in the non-oil sector. Now, what is government doing about it? They tried different ways. They tried to change the color of the Naira. They tried to put in two-tier foreign exchange system. They heavily regulated the forex markets, but there's been not much changes. So now we have the floating of the Naira to help to promote non-oil exports and stimulate economic growth. What are the benefits of this floating in Naira? Today, we want to look at specifically how this is going to give us renewed hope, how it's going to help in growing the non-oil sector in Nigeria. And this is something we really need to do. But first of all, what is the floating of the Naira? In the last few years, in so many years, we've had two tiers. The first tier, which is the official market, The government has a fixed rate for the exchange. And then there are the second tier market, which is also called the parallel markets or the black markets, where the forces of demand and supply determine the exchange rates. Now we have a floating rate, floating the Naira, which means the Naira is now allowed to have its rate fixed by the forces of supply and demand in the markets. Currently, we have what we call managed floating rates, managed floating the Naira, but soon we're going to have a free floating of the Naira. Managed meaning there is going to be some regulation. The central bank can decide to inject some more dollars into the market. They might decide to buy some dollars just to make sure they have a little bit of the leeway in determining the exchange rates. We are not there yet, but we're going to get there. There are a couple of other policies the government had adopted, which also includes the abrogation of the oil fuel subsidy, and it's expected that we're going to have a lot of savings from these changes. What are the benefits of the floating rates? First of all, we expect to have a more enhanced export competitiveness, meaning Nigeria is now more challenged, is now more motivated to go into exports. When the balance of trade is uneven, when it costs a lot more to import goods and services, then we are forced to look inwards to make more from within the country and to export more goods. You know, it reminds me, most of you remember the sayings of Mahatma Gandhi in those days in India, when he banned importation of textile materials. And he said, if India cannot make her own clothes, let India go naked. And that made it compulsory for India to grow the export, to grow the textile market, to this extent that for so many years, India dominated the textile markets. India dominated the textile markets in Nigeria. And this is what a free floating of the Naira has the advantage of also doing in this case. And also we have the advantage of encouraging non-oil export diversification. The government has put in so many different intervention machinery to help on exports. This includes the export grant, export expansion grants, the export development fund, the what they call Anchor Borrowers Program, which was badly managed. But these are programs that actually help exports, even though they are not well managed. But if the entrepreneurs and exporters take advantage of these provisions, it will help them in diversifying their exports and improving on their revenues. A key beneficiary of the free floating of the Naira is the agri sector. We have so much agri potential. We have such arable land. We have so many agri exports. We have the means, we have the land, we have the people, we have the manpower. When we have a more effectively implemented free floating of the Naira, it helps a lot in the agricultural sector. It helps in the area of self-sufficiency, and it helps in exports of non-oil goods, particularly agri sector. Let's take a little dive into the agri sector. Which areas have the greatest potential? We have, of course, lots of cocoa in Nigeria. The economy of Nigeria, particularly the southern part of Nigeria, was mostly on what we call the cocoa economy. Every part of the southern part was exporting cocoa and making so much money from it. That was the crude oil in those days. Of course, we have other things: edible oil, grown Arabic. We have tubers, we have fruits, we have vegetables. We even have, of course, orange. But Nigeria has not done well in capturing the value chain of agriculture sector. Value chain meaning not just exporting the raw materials like yam or sesame seeds, but actually having some local value added, having some pre-processing of these agri materials, adding value, creating employment locally, and exporting either the semi-finished goods or the actual finished goods to the market. And there's so many examples of this. We have this yam tuber here, we have the value chain on the sesame seeds, the tomato there. We don't have to export tomatoes. We can actually package tomatoes in Nigeria and export them, even though the economy makes it a little challenging to do that. Now, we also have the cashew. US is a great consumer of cashew nuts. They come to Africa, particularly Nigeria, to buy the cashew nuts. We shortchange ourselves exporting these goods in this raw form. Orange. I was in Coca-Cola recently asking why we don't export, they don't buy orange from Nigeria or Africa. Most of the orange they purchase to make their orange drinks are either from Florida or even from China. When Nigeria, well, that's a long story, but of course, these are areas that can benefit from the free floating of the Naira. We have the cotton area, we have shea butter, which again, we're a major producer of. These are areas that benefit from the free floating of the Naira on the non-exports. Another major area, of course, is manufacturing and solid minerals. I mean, it costs a lot more to import goods in particular, to import manufactured products. When the exchange rate is in favor of the Naira, in other words, when it costs more to buy the dollar, then Nigeria is forced to grow its manufacturing sector and in solid mineral sector. And again, these are great potentials in this sector to lead to job creation, to lead to more employment. Of course, government also benefits because with the increase of activities in the non-oil sector, government gets more taxes from their production. So it's a win-win for both the man exporters and also for the governments. We want to realize that this might take time. Many times Nigerians, we want immediate returns on changes. We want things to happen overnight. It doesn't always happen that way. Economic changes, the effects of economic changes sometimes take a little more time to reflect. Sometimes it goes very quickly. But the necessary thing is to know that we're on the right track and we're taking the necessary steps to make these changes beneficial to the non-oil sector. The question is, are we just talking? Is it really happening? Is it going to continue to happen this way? The good news is we have some statistics from the National Bureau of Statistics. Every economic activity in Nigeria is sent to them so they can actually capture what is going on. And the records there show that in the first quarter of 2023, we have total exports valued at about $6 trillion, which is an increase of 2% compared to just the previous sector, the fourth quarter of 2022 at 6.3 trillion. This shows a paradigm shift. It's always been the other way around, but it shows something is working. But again, someone might say in Q1, there was no free floating of the Naira. That is true. But again, remember, when we talk about free floating of the Naira, it means merging the first tier and second tier markets such that the Naira value is determined by the forces of demand and supply. Beginning from like middle of last year, the exchange rate has been changing. The two markets are already getting close, and with the new administration is completely merged. So what started in Q1 before the free floats is indication that with the free float now, the increase in non-oil exports will be even more noticeable. And also we have the value of 57%. So this clearly shows that the free floating of the Naira is just semantics. The changes are taking place. We believe this is going to really improve the non-oil exports. It's going to help the economy to grow quickly, as it's already beginning to do. It's going to make us a lot more competitive in the global markets. And this would be a win for the Nigerian economy, for individuals in Nigeria, and for even foreigners looking to invest in Nigeria. And it's going to be to the point that there will be no sector in Nigeria that will have no room to grow. If you do the right thing, we're in the right place, we're at the right time, talking to the right person, and you have an enabling economy, an enabling exchange rate system that helps the non-oil sector to grow. So that's pretty much what we want to discuss this morning. We want to have this emphasis that the paradigm shift in the Nigerian economy, particularly in the fiscal markets, in the fiscal sector, is going to be a plus in the totality of Nigerian economy, and particularly is going to be a plus for the non-oil exports, which has had a lot of decline for so many years. Thank you very much for listening, and I appreciate the time.